huge Pac-12 fan. Do I need to worry about the demise of the Pac-12? No, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, there's some uncertainty there. Remember how many people threatened, or not threatened, said the Big 12 was dead when the Texas-Oklahoma SEC story broke. It's just like clockwork, and the Big 12 is just fine. Are they the SEC and the Big 10? No. But who's better than those two? Who's better than the Big 12 right now when it comes to the money, the TV, and whatever else? You can go into AAU or research and all that. Okay, we're talking sports and college football. That's what we're talking about right now.
Well, yeah, but I think that stuff's why the Pac's going to try to stay together as long as they can. So, I mean, that does matter. I do agree that they throw that out there like it matters as much as, like, TV ratings, and it doesn't. But, you know, for some TV exec out that they're talking to or some school president, I'm sure, like, yes, being a blue blood academic and all that's super important, but I don't think ABC cares about that or Disney, ESPN, whatever. I think they want to say, like, do you get good ratings? Could you make some great matchups for us? Okay, we're on board with you. That's more convincing than, you know, your number of Rhodes Scholars or whatever. But, you know, people grasp at what they can to defend what they can. And, you know, certainly the Pac, you know, has, I guess, the commonalities of, you know, just the West Coast sort of feel to it all, you know, just the differences in that part of the country. The academic piece is obviously, you know, something that they've driven home time and time again. And, you know, I don't know how much out there besides that there is outside of, you know, just regular old tradition that they want to maintain. But I said a few minutes ago before we talked to Dennis that I'm not sitting here just waiting for the caving in of the Pac-12, and he gets on and has as ominous of a tone as anybody on it. I don't think, to be very clear and to make my position clear, I don't love where they are. I don't love the TV deal that I feel is coming down the pipeline because, as we established, like I don't think that as much as streaming's the thing nowadays, that's really what you want all your football games to be on and the majority of your football games to be on. But I also just feel like they're going to do everything they possibly can to I mean, and clearly, of course they are, but they're going to do everything they possibly can to hold this thing together with the majority of those schools. Yes, there might be a couple that are feeling froggy and want to jump, but I'm just not convinced that Colorado's ready to make that leap. Like the Arizona schools, you can convince me, like, yeah, sure. But is that even enough in the end? Like, is that, or if you're Brett Yormark, do you want to bite off a bit more than that to chew on? Like, is this
There's no way that he adds anybody if the number with the TV deal does not come with it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. What I was also going to get to is just what does that bring? I mean, does Arizona schools and Colorado and Utah or whatever combination you want to put out there, does that bump everybody's numbers a great deal, or does it just kind of keep it flat where it is? Because if it keeps it flat, then I'm sure there's more reason as to why you'd want. But like, yeah, there's details I'd want to know. It's not just as simple to me as let's go kill the Pac or let's just go grab these schools and kill the Pac. Like, there has to be some other reasoning behind it outside of just that, because they can, in theory, still survive without doing that. But I understand the appeal of the idea of killing the Pac off. You know, I just don't think the Pac's going to go that easy in the night, no matter how awful this TV deal might look.
No, and look, what they're talking about, the late night window. So the easiest thing to wrap your head around is adding 4 Pac-12 schools, right? So whatever 4 they might be, and let's just say they're the 4 corners schools they add. So that adds value to the deal, because then you can say, all right, we're going to have, there's now 5 teams in the Mountain and Pacific time zone that we can give you, say that they all have 2 games in that last thing. So the 10 games, you know, with a couple of bye weeks where it's somebody else in that window, but 10 games in that window in the regular season, and maybe even more, but like 10 games minimum in that window in the regular season, where each of them will have, you know, a home and a road game that are in that, and then move on. So you've got 10 games in that window that you can make money off of. That certainly shoots up what you can do, but maybe does it do it enough? You know, does it mean it like it's huge, or is that just something that you're doing for this TV deal so that when you make the next one, then it's ginormous? So I don't know.
I saw where, and Scotty B put this out there, and I've seen this on a couple of others, that if in fact the Big 12 was to add anybody, and again, there aren't a lot of options, and there are some options that are probably not interested in you if you're the Big 12, they automatically have something kick in. I've never seen that. I know that's been
It's an
mentioned,
escalator clause.
Yeah, I've actually, and when we have Brett Yormark or when we have Lawrence Shavanik, the president at Texas Tech, who's major part of what the Big 12 just did, or others on, Mac Rhodes tomorrow, then we can get clarification on that. But I don't think that's a guarantee. It would be nice if that was in there, but what would that mean? That they just add the same amount of money to 2 more schools and that's the number? But if it doesn't mean an extra $5 or $10 million to each school, then you're really just adding teams to add teams, although that could make you a little bit bigger and also in the future gain a little bit of a leverage.
Yeah, I just don't think you're adding teams just to add teams.
No,
like there has to be a reason behind it. And the thing I'm most like cautious with is just, since when did Utah make it clear that they were really wanting out of the Pac-12 and like would love to be in the Big 12? I've never seen any indication of that whatsoever. When did Colorado ever make it sound like they wanted to come with their tail between their legs back to the Big 12? I've seen no indication of that whatsoever. The Arizona schools, I've seen the social commentary. I've seen the online talk. You can convince me that there's some like reasoning there. But outside of that, those two, and really like more Arizona than Arizona State, there's been no indication or inclination that any school is interested in moving to the Big 12. It's all just online talk. And I get that a lot of that has come to fruition, and I get that a lot of people online do have their real sources. But I'm just saying, as far as like meaty stuff to bite into, outside of like Jason Scheer covering Arizona, I've not seen a single indication. Now, granted, behind this, you're not going to come out and let everybody know your grand plans. Behind the scenes, maybe the Utah folks or the Colorado folks are scrambling. They're like, we got to get to the Big 12. This is a disaster. Maybe that's going on. And if it is, then okay, everybody on board. That would make a lot of sense. But yeah, I'm not at all confident in the long-term future of the Pac-12. I don't feel great about this TV deal, and I think that the statement today is very fishy, but I'm also just not ready to leap off that ledge that says, like, we're going full bore into Pac-12 takeover mode, from the Big 12 point of view. I just feel like there's going to be a bit more resistance than it just being as simple as, oh, this TV deal sucks. 4 schools are going to leap now and go to the Big 12 and play further away games just to fill a late night window. It seems more complicated to me than that.
I asked Jason Scheer, who covers Arizona. We've had him on before, especially back when USC, UCLA first happened. And Jason has not been afraid to take shots at the conference in which he covers. But I said, what was your reaction to the Pac-12 statement of solidarity about an hour ago? And we do need to take a break. It's a direct response to the Athletic article, which was about the future, et cetera, and completely meaningless one at that. No idea why it was even released. All right, now, that doesn't mean Jason's right, but he's been pretty good. Even when some that have been the staple of covering the Pac-12 at times took shots at him, that's kind of settled down, which it needs to be. But again, then thanks to Dennis Dodd, good timing to have him as a part of today's show. Kendall Kaut, by the way, on Baylor.